If you're thinking about moving to BC, this video is for you because there's a good chance that you're stuck between 4 cities to choose from: Vancouver, Victoria, Kelowna, and White Rock. And honestly, you're not alone. One of the most common questions we get from our viewers is this: which community is actually the best place to call home? They're interested in moving to British Columbia and they've heard about all 4 of those cities, but they're completely unclear about which one might be best for them. Now, each of these cities offers something totally different. And depending on your lifestyle, one might be a way better fit than the others. So today, I'm gonna break down the real differences between all 4, from home prices to hospitals, weather to lifestyle, all in one short, fast-moving, no-fluff video. And while Vancouver gets all the attention in British Columbia, I'm pretty sure one of these other cities might actually fit your life better, especially if you value things like peace, affordability, and slightly less chaos. We'll go head-to-head across the 3 biggest things that people ask us about: weather, healthcare, and housing. But we're also going to round it out with a quick look at both transportation and overall lifestyle, and lightly scoring each one with each city so you can decide which matters most to you. Some of the rankings might surprise you, especially if you've never really looked outside of the Vancouver bubble. So if you're relocating to BC, this will help you better understand what your options are. If that sounds good, let's get into it right now. You only get one chance to buy or sell your next home. Let's get it right. It's worth mentioning, my name's Darren, and I've been helping people buy and sell real estate in the White Rock, Surrey, and surrounding areas since 2007. A lot of folks we actually meet right through this very YouTube channel who are trying to figure out if this area is right for them, and that's exactly where we come in. If you want a truly local perspective from someone who grew up here, lives here, works here, and plays here, then book a time in my calendar, which is in the description below of this video. Whether you're just starting to explore or ready to make a move, we'll help you navigate that process with zero pressure and all the insight that you need to feel confident in your decision. Okay, so we know everyone's situation is different. Families, retirees, remote workers, first-time buyers, and that's exactly why this comparison video matters. Each city on this list offers something unique, but the trade-offs can be hard to spot unless you've lived it or helped others navigate it. So rather than getting lost in the weeds, we're gonna highlight the essentials, the factors that actually shape your day-to-day life and long-term satisfaction. I want you to think of this as a little bit of a quick start guide to understanding what it feels like to live in each of these communities. So let's start with one of the biggest lifestyle anchors that we get tons and tons of questions about, because a lot of people that watch this channel are retirees or maybe people that have moved out of the area and are considering coming back to either Canada or British Columbia. And one of the biggest questions we get is related to the weather. So when it comes to the weather, there's no polite way to say this: Kelowna is extreme. The summers are hot, often hitting the mid 30 degrees Celsius. That's about 85 degrees Fahrenheit. It's dry, it's intense, and it's not for everyone. If you love scorching sun and barely any rain, Kelowna checks a lot of boxes. In fact, we call it the California of Canada. This is where a lot of people like to go up for a long weekend or a week to go get some real hot, dry summer weather. But for those that live there, those same summers can feel a little bit relentless, especially during heat waves. And we've got to address the winters here too, right? They can be downright harsh. Low temperatures dip well below freezing. Snow is obviously very common, and the valley tends to trap in cloud and fog, which means long stretches of cold gray days. If you're not into winter driving or dealing with slushy sidewalks, that's something to think about. We'd also be remiss not to talk about some of the more extreme weather events that have been happening over the last couple of years, and wildfire season is a very real problem in Kelowna. This can create issues related to getting insurance for your property, or if nothing more, just creates living in a little bit of fear of what might happen each and every summer. Something to consider if Kelowna is on your list. Now let's talk about Victoria. By contrast, it's about as gentle as BC weather gets. Summers are pretty cool here, topping out around 66 degrees Fahrenheit, and winters are pretty mild. It rains, sure, but the snow here is pretty rare and the temperatures almost never plunge. It's calm, predictable, and works well if you don't like surprises. Now, Vancouver, it offers that classic coastal moderation. Summer highs hit the low 70s. Winters rarely dip below freezing, but let's be real, it's gray here. Especially from October to April, you'll see a lot of cloud cover and drizzle. The payoff is you never really get those painful temperature extremes. Now, White Rock follows that same coastal pattern, but with a key difference. It usually gets more sunshine statistically than Vancouver, especially in the summer. Slightly fewer rainy days, slightly clearer skies, and for people who feel the impact of those long gray seasons, that sunlight can go a long way. So if we're gonna rank these, how do they rank? Well, Kelowna, it's great if you love the heat, but easily the harshest year round. 5 out of 10. Vancouver, mild temperatures, but cloud heavy most of the year. 7 out of 10. Victoria, consistently gentle. Cool summers and few weather extremes. 8 out of 10. And White Rock, mild winters, manageable summers, and just enough sunshine to edge out the others. 9 out of 10. If you're chasing comfort and livability, White Rock takes the win on weather. Next, let's jump into transportation. Not just how far things are on a map, but how easy it actually is to get places from each city. So clearly, Vancouver is the hub, right? You've got SkyTrains, buses, the Sea Bus, commuter rails. It's all here. And if you need to fly, Vancouver International Airport is right in Richmond, about a 30-minute drive, depending on where you are in Vancouver, and easily connects you to pretty much anywhere in the world with direct flights. Whether it's a weekend in Seattle or a flight to Europe, this is about as convenient as it gets in BC. But here's the trade-off. Traffic. Between congestion, construction, and long commute times from outer neighborhoods, getting around can feel like a full-time job. You're connected, but it's not always smooth. Traffic is brutal here, especially during rush hour. Even short trips can turn into a grind. In fact, TomTom rated Vancouver as the worst Canadian city for traffic congestion in 2024, ranking 69th worst in the world. Now, on to Kelowna. Kelowna simply is a car city. Public transit does exist, but it's not built for high demand. The airport is an international airport, and it's decent for domestic travel, but for most international trips, you still need to connect through Vancouver. It gives you some freedom from the big city, but it's got fewer options, longer drives, and more travel planning headaches. Now, of course, it's in the center of British Columbia, so if you travel out to Alberta or want to go to the coast, it's centrally located in that respect, so perhaps that's a good thing for your lifestyle. Next on our list is Victoria, and living in Victoria, well, it kind of comes with a ferry ticket. Literally, it's a beautiful place to live, but if you want to leave the island, you'll need to either take a ferry or fly. The airport, YYJ, is fine for regional trips, but just like Kelowna, most international travel routes go through Vancouver. Day-to-day mobility is pretty easy here. The city's smaller and traffic is light, but you do feel a bit isolated. Then there's White Rock. And this is where it gets interesting. You're just 40 minutes from downtown Vancouver, 30 minutes to the international airport at YVR, but you're also 15 minutes to the US border and relatively close to the Tsawwassen Ferry Terminal to get over to Vancouver Island. While there's no SkyTrain here, driving is generally pretty smooth. Buses connect to key routes, and you're strategically positioned to dip into everything Vancouver offers without actually having to live in the chaos. Now, you don't get 24/7 transit, but for most people, especially remote workers or families, you get a best of both worlds setup. Suburban calm with city level access. So here's the scorecard for transportation. Kelowna, you're driving everywhere and flying often means a connection. 5.5 out of 10. Victoria, great local access, but ferry or flight needed for everything else. 6.5 out of 10. Vancouver, best transit, best airport, but major traffic drag. 8 out of 10. And White Rock, no trains, but strong access to everything that matters, all while staying in a quiet, controlled community. 8.5 out of 10. If you want ultimate connectivity, Vancouver obviously wins, but for comfort, flexibility, and fewer daily headaches, White Rock quietly edges ahead. So next on our list is healthcare. And why is healthcare on our list? Well, a lot of people that reach out to us through this channel, they're curious about what the healthcare is like in these various areas because they're either maybe downsizing or, well, they maybe could be people who are later in years, or they could be people who are moving to the community that have elderly parents that they need to think about these things. And healthcare is one of those things that people don't think about until they really need it. And when you do, you want fast access, good care, and as little hassle as possible. So starting with Vancouver, there's no surprise here. It is the best equipped. You've got multiple hospitals, including Vancouver General, St. Paul's, and BC Children's. There is a huge concentration of specialist research hospitals and clinics. If you need advanced care or ongoing treatment, it's all here. The biggest downside really is wait times can be long, just like traffic, and navigating the system in a big city can feel a little overwhelming. Now, Kelowna has a solid regional hospital, Kelowna General, general. And for a mid-sized city, it's pretty well served. But you may have fewer specialists available locally. And for more complex procedures or faster access, many people end up traveling to Vancouver anyways. Plus, in the winter weather, road conditions can affect how fast you really get anywhere. Victoria, well, it's a strong contender. It has Royal Jubilee Hospital and Victoria General, both reputable and both serving the region quite well. Because Victoria is the capital city of British Columbia, it benefits from decent healthcare funding and infrastructure. That said, being on the island, well, of course, it still limits access to some specialists. So for niche care or faster options, you might still need to fly or ferry over to the mainland. Moving over to White Rock, well, White Rock actually punches above its weight here. It's home to Peace Arch Hospital, recently expanded and modernized, and part of the Fraser Health Network. For many residents, this means shorter wait times compared to bigger city hospitals and still quick access to other hospitals in the region like Surrey's Surrey Memorial Hospital, Langley Memorial Hospital, quite close to White Rock as well, or Vancouver if you need more specialized care. And here's something to watch out for as well. A brand new hospital is being built in Cloverdale, just a short drive from White Rock, scheduled to open in 2029. This gives one hospital in White Rock proper and 3 others that are within about a 15 to 30-minute drive. That means even more access to emergency and acute care for people living in South Surrey and White Rock. A big deal if you're thinking about long-term care. So how does healthcare stack up on our scorecard? Well, Kelowna, good local hospital, but limited specialists, 6.5 out of 10. Victoria, 2 strong hospitals, but the island adds an extra layer of isolation, so 7.5 out of 10. Now, Vancouver, top tier access, but long wait times and big city chaos, 8 out of 10. And White Rock, smaller system, faster access, close to everything, 8.5 out of 10. If you want elite medical options, Vancouver clearly wins here. But for balance, peace of mind, and local care, you can count on White Rock leads again. Okay, next, let's talk lifestyle. Not just what there is to do, but what life actually feels like season by season in each of these places. Starting with Kelowna, this is lake life meets vineyard culture. Spring through fall is packed with things to do here. Boating on Okanagan Lake, wine tours, hiking, biking, festivals, and markets. It's super social, active, and outdoorsy. But in the winter, things change. Unless you're a skier or a snowboarder, life slows down pretty fast. It's cold, snowy, and you'll spend more time indoors than you might expect. Victoria leans into its heritage charm. Gardens, galleries, marine life, and a calm coastal pace. Summer brings festivals and patios, while winter is gentler than the interior, but it's still pretty wet. It's artsy, beautiful, and walkable with a strong sense of local culture, but it's also a bit more mellow. I mean, at the end of the day, it's a relatively small community. Now, White Rock gives you that beach town feel year-round. Coastal walks, seaside cafes, community markets, and a surprisingly attractive local art scene. It's slower paced and more relaxed, but here's the thing. It's also sunnier than most of Metro Vancouver, so even when the city is gray, there's a good chance that White Rock has blue skies. And if you want big city events, you're just a quick drive from Vancouver. But when it comes to pure lifestyle variety, of course, Vancouver wins. From hiking trails to hockey games, rooftop patios to international festivals, professional sports, you can tap into almost any scene here. You've got world-class food, major concerts, pro sporting events like I mentioned, oceanside activities, mountain getaways, all within an hour's reach. It's a rare mix of urban energy and natural beauty. The only trade-off is that weather. It rains a lot. And for people who thrive on stimulation and choice, there's no better place in BC. So here's how lifestyle shakes out. Kelowna, active, outdoorsy, but very seasonal. Great in summer, slower in winter, 7.5 out of 10. Victoria, charming, walkable, cultural, calm, and consistent, but a little bit of a small town, 8 out of 10. White Rock, laid back, coastal lifestyle, more sun, and big city access when you want it, 8.5 out of 10. And Vancouver, maximum variety, nature and nightlife, endless options, 9 out of 10. Actually, you know what? 10 out of 10. So yes, Vancouver takes this one for sheer lifestyle range. But if you're after something calmer, sunnier, and still well-connected, White Rock, it's not far behind. Now it's time to address the elephant in the room. The reason so many people tune into this channel is for real estate. And specifically for this video, we need to talk about home prices. But before we get into real estate prices in each region, if you're considering making a move, you're gonna wanna grab a copy of 21 Grants and Rebates for Home Buyers. We have unearthed all of the hard to find, buried in legislation ways of getting free money or saving money when you buy a home and package it all in a nice little PDF with descriptions and links just for you. You're welcome. No, seriously, grab it now. It will save you a ton. All right, let's talk about real estate prices in the region because this is a huge factor about considering to live in any of these cities. And here's how the numbers actually stack up. And fair warning, the price gaps might surprise you. For the purposes of this video, we used East Vancouver as our comparable. The reason we did is because the price point in East Vancouver versus areas of Vancouver like the West Side and downtown, well, those areas are substantially more expensive. So we wanted to show you the most reasonable and affordable options to keep this video as fair as possible. Okay, so let's start with detached homes. Vancouver comes in high as expected, about $1.76 million for a detached house, and that's if you're in East Vancouver. White Rock edges slightly higher at 1.78 million, but you're likely getting more space, ocean views, and a quieter setting. Now, Victoria lands around 1.3 million, but keep in mind, Victoria publishes average prices, not benchmark prices from the Home Price Index, so it may not reflect the true market value of Victoria homes. Victoria typically lands at number 3 of the most expensive cities in Canada, so it's interesting. Kelowna is by far the most affordable at 1.06 million. That kind of spread can mean the difference between a newer home or a total renovation. Now let's look at townhomes, where the gap starts to narrow a bit. Kelowna sits at around 845,000. Victoria, again using average pricing, comes in at 859,000. White Rock is a little higher at 906,000, and Vancouver pushes over the $1 million mark at $1.06 million. This is kind of where White Rock starts to show its value. You're still in a premium market, but you're under that $1 million threshold. And in many cases, you're walking distance to the beach. On to condos. Well, condos follow the same pattern with a little bit of tighter margins. Kelowna, again, leads on the price at around 501,000. Victoria follows at 562,000. White Rock is just under 600,000, and Vancouver tops the list at $661,000. So even in the condo space, Kelowna gives you the most affordability. But when it comes to lifestyle, return on investment, especially if you're downsizing or relocating, White Rock starts to look like the coastal sweet spot. So based on pricing alone, here's the quick takeaway. Kelowna, best price across all categories, but with location and seasonal trade-offs. Victoria, mid-range pricing, but slightly less transparent due to average reporting. White Rock, high-end, yes, but excellent value per dollar when you factor in lifestyle. Vancouver, top-tier pricing for top-tier access, but tough on the budget. So affordability scores, well, Vancouver, 5.5 out of 10. Victoria, 6 out of 10, White Rock, 7 out of 10, and Kelowna wins at 8 out of 10. All right, so there you have it. 4 amazing BC communities, each with their own vibes, strengths, and trade-offs. Whether you're after the big city buzz of Vancouver, the island charm of Victoria, the lakeside lifestyle in Kelowna, or the perfect coastal balance in White Rock, it really comes down to what fits your life best. Now, if you're seriously considering a move and White Rock or South Surrey is on your radar, that's my home turf. I've been selling here since 2007. And I'd be happy to help you figure out what's possible. And if you're leaning towards other areas like Kelowna, Victoria, or Vancouver, or really anywhere in British Columbia, I've got trusted contacts in all of those markets, people I know that will take great care of you. So just hit the link in the description to book a time to chat, and I'll make sure to get you connected with somebody that you can trust. Also, just a quick heads up, White Rock is more than just White Rock. We're talking South Surrey, Crescent Beach, Ocean Park, other areas of Surrey, the suburbs that give you all the coastal beauty without the downtown chaos. It's one of the most livable parts of the Lower Mainland, especially if you're after space, sun, and a bit of peace. Now, if you're somebody that's considering moving to anywhere in British Columbia, maybe you're considering new construction homes, you're going to want to watch this video coming up next. I'm diving into why new builds aren't always the dream they seem to be, especially in British Columbia. And we're going to talk about many of the reasons why we recommend to everybody we work with that they stay as far away from buying new construction pre-sale condominiums as possible. If you're thinking of relocating here here, it could save you a ton of money and stress. So hit that video coming up next button because it's coming up right now, and I'll see you over there. Surrey, BC pre-sales are in huge trouble. You see, back in 2021, the real estate market was absolutely booming. Call it the COVID rebound, but you could do no wrong in real estate. You had high demand, ultra low mortgage rates, and escalating prices, a perfect environment to buy a home at the time. But then all of a sudden one day, boom.